Hello, my name's Michael Conneely and I'm making this video about one of the Nakshatras, the powerful 27 sign lunar zodiac of Vedic astrology. The 27 Nakshatras are the positions in the heavens that the moon occupies as it moves around the heavens in a lunar month, and they are so accurate. They are so accurate about our emotional nature and our consciousness arising therefrom. And of course, it's so valuable to hear about the particular emotional nature your soul chose, as described by where planets are in the 27 Nakshatras. Perception can lead to healing, empowerment and growth. You can make a real success of your life by hearing about the nakshatras where you have planets in an astrology reading, which I do worldwide. Or you can follow my wonderful Vedic astrology course, nakshatrasadvancecourse.com. And basically you work through each of the 27 nakshatras, learning about the characteristics of each, with reference to two charts, yours and mine. So it's genuine communication. It's not just formula barked out legalistically or psychobabble or astrobabble. Because, we'd pick it up if it wasn't. And where we haven't got a planet in a particular nakshatra, well, bring in a friend or a family member or a celebrity. The insight, the healing and empowerment you can get from studying the nakshatras is wonderful. They are so beautiful. So hear about the 8th nakshatra, Pushyami. So this is the 8th of the 27 nakshatras. Now, it's really significant if you have your sun, moon or ascendant in a particular nakshatra, but indeed any planet. It'll greatly affect your life and your destiny, and particularly your emotions, and therefore the sort of consciousness you have. And therefore the things you need to do to manage your consciousness so that your life becomes more happy, you do less harm to yourself or other people, you achieve what you need to achieve. So, Nakshatra 8 Pushyami, well, like all the nakshatras, it has a power animal. And the power animal is the ram. Well, I just want to say at this point that my ascendant, my Lagna, is in Pushyami. And so, my power animal is the ram. And I just want to say here that those people who say that rams are, pushy, well, they're actually wrong. I mean, rams are very nice animals. And, alternatively, the power animal's the lead goat. So you get the picture. And, well, are we pushy? Well, actually, what I want to say is that Pushyamis need to learn not to be pushy. I think at first in our lives we're very pushy, and so we can give a misleading impression. I mean, there can be such different qualities in the chart behind us. More sensitive, more artistic, but we incarnate with this tendency to sort of keep pushing ourselves forward, and that's what we need to learn about. It's a false front, and it's so good to be able to have this perception, which only Vedic astrology offers. These are immensely ancient. I mean, the lunar mansions, as the nakshatras are also called. I mean, they go back to ancient Babylon, 5000 BC and well before that. They're deeply ancient astrological perceptions, worked out over millennia by deeply sensitive people attuned to the energy of each bit of the heavens, to the stars in the heavens, to the movements of the moon, to the planets. And the thing about Pushyami is that you have to sort yourself out. You have to acknowledge your failings. And that way you you achieve the destiny you're meant to, rather than living in the false front I tried to describe. I feel a very worthwhile energy. It's a mixture of the Brahman priest and the Kshatriya warrior. And of course I didn't understand this when I was growing up. But now I feel I can see the value of the priest energy, if it's used properly, not the bureaucratic priesthoods of Christianity or Hinduism, but the true priestly consciousness, but also the Kshatriya, the warrior. We do need to be able to defend ourselves, and I had to learn that. When I was an undergraduate at Oxford, I went as a scholarship boy, and so was very much looked down on by all the rich public school boys. And I was, the weird fees and expenses on the first day wiped me out. And so I actually joined the Oxford University Officer Training Corps and became an officer in the Royal Artillery at weekends. And I thought, I'm into peace and love, man. I mean, it was the 60s. But I thought, how else do you get the money? And of course, I didn't really understand what war was. Very naive. But there is that Kshatriya energy in me, and the warrior energy we do need in our lives, not necessarily a soldier, of course. And so the key qualities of Pushyami are religious, spiritual and devotional. And Pushyamis tend to be intelligent, priestly and benevolent. They're philosophers and teachers. And so, all that stuff about the lead goat and the ram, they're very caring. And a Pushyami will care for you even when you just really don't want to be cared for. They always check if you're all right. So they have a great sense of home and family and community. There might be other bits of their chart they need to learn about that can harm their connection to home, family and community. But the Pushyami energy ever moves them forward in their life to get them to mature, to balance it all up, to make it all add up together. And this is the value of an astrology reading or astrology course. So they're very interested in anything that's caring, like education, humanitarian activities. They make good counsellors, public servants. They make people feel wanted and cared for. And so they get very knowledgeable in many areas. And they certainly will come to the defence of something they believe in. And it's ruled by Saturn, so that tends to make them contemplative, conservative, sober, careful, self-reliant, systematical, methodical and patient. They're usually very hard-working. They're actually quite introverted, but usually well-liked. So they can be the somewhat reclusive wise guy who doesn't need his own space, and they can talk very thoughtfully. It's a maternal energy. The symbol is actually the udder of the cow that gives nourishment and milk. But of course, like all the nakshatras, it has its unfavourable side, and Pushyamis is quite devastating. You see, they're in the Vedic sign of Cancer, and so they're very sensitive and emotional, very devoted, and so their devotion can actually turn to submission. They can actually be turned into a martyr in relationship. Pushyami is terrible for marriage until and if you ever sort it out. Prince Charles too has his ascendant in Pushyami, and his marriage issues became world famous. And there's a stubborn, selfish, arrogant, prideful streak to Pushyami. We won't budge if you try to push us too far. And we can be very orthodox, even if we're very alternative. And because we're in the sign Cancer, we, the claws of the crab, we cling to hurt. I remember that person hurt me in 1954. And this, is quite difficult for them to get rid of, and clearly dwelling on hurt doesn't make you open to who you can be today, to what you can achieve today. So as I said, Pushyami is often desperately unfortunate for marriage, and they have to learn the hard way. And it can be sad if we see our child who has a Pushyami ascendant, moving into relationships with dysfunctional people who like the nice, caring guy. So this is particularly affected if you've got ascendant in Pushyami or moon in Pushyami. So the temperament of Pushyami is Deva, angelic, loving and accommodating. The sex is male, but it's a very sensitive nature as well. And each nakshatra has a Shakti or spiritual power. And the power of Pushyami allows for creating spiritual energy, so they can actually heal others because they radiate that. In Ayurveda, they're elementally pitta or fire, and so that can give stomach problems. And it's good to know that. Now the ruling deity, each nakshatra has a ruling deity, and nakshatra is ruled by Brihaspati, the god Jupiter, the expansive, vast energy of Jupiter that makes you grow spiritually when it's manifested at its best. Now, if you remember, I said that there's also a Saturn script, and Saturn actually rules the nakshatra, but Jupiter is what's called exalted in the sign Cancer. Now, put Jupiter and Saturn together, they couldn't be much more different. But if you can combine them well, you can actually get massive expansion and spiritual insight and so forth, and yet it's properly structured and grounded. That's the best combination of Jupiter and Saturn. So Jupiter is exalted in Pushyami and Saturn rules Pushyami. A big thing I believe about Pushyamis is they have to be in the right landscape. They're energetically totally attuned to landscape. I can't live in a city, and I have to be in the countryside, and they often work on the land or as gardeners, or make sure to have their weekends off in beautiful countryside. Pushyamis are so sensitive that if they're on dirty city streets, they become debased. Okay. Yes, the motivation. Each nakshatra has a particular direction of motivation. And Pushyamis is Dharma. What's Dharma? Well, Dharma is your true way for you, your true spiritual path for you. And so Pushyamis have to work out their own true Dharma. They can't do the wrong thing. They may be brought up to go into the stupid career that's wrong for them, and it will collapse, and they have to find what's right for them. So what I'd say is, if you want to find out more about your birth chart, have a reading with me. If you want to learn about the nakshatras, wonderful, get in touch. Just to say that each nakshatra is divided into 4 padas, and each of them has a different energy. So the first pada or quarter in Pushyami is Leo pada. So this is obviously got more of a sun energy, and so it's someone who is more orientated to achievement, limelight, wealth and pride, interested in family and ancestry. The second pada is Virgo. Now Venus is debilitated in Virgo, so if you have Virgo in Pushyami pada 2, It's worth knowing about that and what to do with it. You know, Venus will become, in a Virgo influence, too critical in love. And what do you do about that? The third pada is Libra. And so, you know, the dangers here are too much home comforts, luxury and sociability, superficiality, conforming. So you need to know if that's an issue in your life. It's useful to have the perception. And the fourth pada is Scorpio. Scorpio pada. These are the esoteric people, celestially orientated. But because there's the Scorpio energy, they can also be dependent and they can certainly be victims. And, you know, certain planets do particularly well or do particularly badly in the different padas. So I hope you'll want to do the Nakshatra course. It would be lovely to do a reading. It would be lovely to do the foundation course with you in either Vedic astrology or in Western astrology. And indeed, we run this healing centre in beautiful County Mayo with its Airbnb. And we live near all the wonderful sacred sites, the oldest sacred sites in Ireland. So, hope to hear from you. Thank you.